Me and my friend Lumen recently started wondering which two ponies would make the worst Dragonball-like fusion. Yeah, I know, usually you go for the strongest or most capable, but that's boring and easy. I want to challenge myself. I will be rude for the ponies for once and talk about how weak they are. And I'm just talking ponies here. I don't care how physically weak T-Rex is in his old age form or how dumb he is in his big form. Just ponies here today. Before we begin, let me give the mic to Lumen to explain some of the rules we set for ourselves.
Hey every pony! So, like Anubis just said, before we start we need to establish some rules for these fusions. First off, we decided to exclude any physically disabled ponies. We figured it would be a little too cruel to go after them, even for someone like Anubis. For similar reasons, no children or grannies. Most fillies, foals, and elderly in the show are shown to be significantly weaker than some of the regular adults and teens we see, and therefore would be too easy a pick for this, and we wanted to challenge ourselves. After that, we need to pick a moment in the show to measure their strength from. Season 1 Twilight, for example, is much less magically gifted compared to the Twilight we see in later seasons. T-Rex. We agreed that judging the ponies by how they are right after the ending of the end, but before the time skip we see in The Last Problem, is the fairest way to get the most complete view of their character. We also want to judge all the characters as they are by that point, not as to what they might become in the future. Last but not least, we want to take every aspect of the pony into account. Personality, strength, magical abilities, etc. A fusion wouldn't pick the worst aspects of a character, but likely more of the better ones. So we need to find which ponies are the worst overall.
Having established those requirements, that already ruled out some of my first picks. Scootaloo and Pipsqueak for the kids are of course removed, and for the adults I was thinking of Derpy, but her cross-eyed condition would remove her from the roster as well. To make the fusion more tangible, we decided to split it up into specific stats taken from Tales of Equestria, My Little Pony Dungeons & Dragons, in which every pony has a body, mind and charm stat. So to make the worst fusion, we need to create the weakest combination of these stats. Not many ponies have official stats, but we felt like it was a good way to measure the end result. Now to choose the options. Some of the weakest minds in the pony world that I would consider are ponies like Featherbanks and Hayseed Turnip Truck. Featherbanks is just a plain idiot, and Hayseed has been described by the guidebooks as not the shiniest apple on the bunch. Out of those two, Hayseed seems more suitable, since Featherbanks, while being exceptionally annoying, undeniably has some kind of charm, even if it eludes me personally. Looking at his real-life inspiration, he also wouldn't be too weak physically, so Hayseed would be my pick for a weak mind and not too strong body or charm. No other Earth pony I can think of is dumb enough in a substantial way and doesn't have a different stat making up for it. Next, let's take a look at the options to combine with Hayseed, who is pretty much set at this point. My first thought for that was Poindexter, one of Shining Armor's old friends. We see him a few times in the show, and while he does have the weakest body type, he doesn't seem like the best option, since I wouldn't classify him as dumb. He is very much shown to be a nerd in his main comic appearance, so his mind stat would end up too high. Some other options that we have been considering are characters like Mrs. Peachbottom, that the main 6 showed around the Crystal Empire. But as an Earth pony, she technically has a body stat of D6. Every Earth pony has that, making it basically impossible to get someone weak out of a fusion if you want to avoid things like Horn or Wings. Speaking of Wings and Horn, there's only one character I would consider despite being a Pegasus. That character is Zephyr Breeze. He is weak and dumb, and only thinks he has charm. He would basically have negative stats at this point. But is that worth it for the price of adding the incredible power of flight? Let's go over some more options first. I considered Spoiled Witch, Diamond Tiara's mother. She's an Earth pony, so she has a decent body stat, and I thought her mind and charm must be low too, given how much I can't stand her. Then I was reminded that the way she intimidates people is kind of charm too. She can persuade people to do her bidding in her own way, so we can rule her out as well. Another Earth pony we had in mind is Mudbriar. He may not be the dumbest with his knowledge and his autistic special interest, but his lack of social skills puts his charm on the low end. He has no idea of how to interact with people, which makes him a perfectly terrible fusion part, since the personalities of the fused characters would have to be taken into account as well. He would have a hard time getting along with whoever he was fused with, that's for sure. The personality aspect is also what removes Miss Peachbottom from the options. She and Hayseed would get along way too well, which would make the fusion way too usable to be called the worst. Talking about this low-key activated Hayseed x Peachbottom as a crack ship for me, not gonna lie. So now I feel like we have two realistic options that aren't two obscure characters that we know little about. Hayseed could fuse with either Mudbriar to leave him with low charisma, a decent mind and a basically normal Earth Pony body, or Zephyr Breeze, who would get all stats incredibly low, but add the wings to it. And in all honesty, I don't know which one is worse. So let's put it up to a vote. On the day this video releases, I will put up a community poll with both fusion options, and you guys can decide which one you think is the worst pony fusion imaginable. Hayseed x Mudbriar, who would get along alright because Mudbriar wouldn't care about Hayseed's countryisms, and they would only have Earth Pony skills. Or Hayseed x Zephyr, who would add the wings, but put all stats a little lower. They also wouldn't get along at all. Zephyr seems like someone who couldn't stand Hayseed as a person. I made a poll for you guys to choose between them a while back while writing this video, and now I want to see how y'all are gonna decide with the context. And while that happens, I want to take a short detour to what we think is the best fusion. I can't only be mean. For that, Lumen has some words for you guys again.
Hey guys, it's me again, the unpaid extra, here to explain the rules for the best fusion. No alicorns. That's literally all. We can combine a Pegasus and a Unicorn to make an Alicorn fusion, but no Alicorns in the actual fusion, just because that would be too easy and too simple.
And with that in mind, first let's get rid of all the Earth Ponies. We want magic and wings. Starlight would be the obvious first option. She is the strongest non-Alicorn magic user. She has to be in there. You could argue for Star Swirl, but his old age and stoic demeanor would make working together difficult. And to add the wings, we need the strongest flyer. I know many will jump to Rainbow Dash, but I don't think she is the best option. Her and Starlight's egos would clash constantly. We need someone who can work with Starlight, not against her. That basically excludes Spitfire too. She's incredibly skilled, but more of a leader type. Same with Lightning Dust. We need a wing pony. That would give us the options of Sorin and Fleetfoot as the most prominent skilled Pegasi. I also considered Vapor Trail, but she doesn't have the skills yet. She might in the future, but not at the point where she is in the story. Between Fleetfoot and Sorin it's a bit tricky. They have been shown to be very close in flight skill. In the Young Flyers competition, both of them have 1 or 2 rounds where they are higher placed than the other. But in general I would put their speed at the same stage, since they are on the same level in the final one we see. So we would only need to consider personality. That gives Sorin a leg up in my opinion. He seems very good at following orders and would work well together with Starlight. So Starlight x Sorin is our pick for the best possible fusion. But what do you think? Is our reasoning for the worst and best fusion sound? Are there any options that we missed that aren't just the most obscure background ponies in Equestria that we don't know enough about? Let me know. Be sure to check out the poll for the final decision of the worst. And thanks again to Lumen for joining this collab. Join my Discord to discuss some more. Thanks to my supporters, especially to my Alicorn Tier supporters. Princess, who wants me to say, we're not the Star Scouts. And Salad Spectrum, whose message is, Pistachio's best pony. As well as Maverick. And on the next time for Bonus Spoony fellas, and bye.